Hello everybody. It is Tuesday, the 26th of November. I want to talk about the Christ. And I want to talk about the Comforter, the Spirit that is to be poured out on all the world in the last days. And what that actually is. The Spirit of Christ, because I saw it yesterday. I saw it in a zebra, believe it or not. And I want to talk about evil. I want to talk about pure evil. Again, as I heard a video where somebody was talking, ranting around about God and the world and evil, and then he said, of course we all know that evil does not exist. And I was thinking, what reality are you in? That you know evil does not exist. Because I know no such thing. In fact, in this world I very much know that evil does exist. So I want to talk about evil, what that is, and how to recognize it. Right, so the zebra. And it all happened because I was watching the news video of John St. Julien's. And he was, again, talking about the cruelty in this world, this satanic world, that has no compassion, that has not got the Christ spirit, that is, in fact, in complete opposition to the Christ. That's what he said. And he showed videos of animals being hunted by lions. And he showed a video of zebra that was being eaten alive. It was eaten alive by the lions. And it was, in the very first instant, it was hard to watch. And for John, he saw the evil in this world, you know. And when I watched that scene, and I watched it a couple of times, I saw the Christ. I saw compassion. I saw the compassion of Christ in the zebra. Because when you watched it, when you made yourself watch it, kind of stepping back from your own judgment, you know, and John is fully in his own judgment, you know, it's all evil. So he sees evil. But when I watched it, what the zebra was doing was actually downright bizarre. And what happened was, as I said, the lions were eating the zebra. They had actually eaten quite a bit into the zebra. I said it was hard to watch. Yeah, at the hind end of the zebra. And the zebra actually lifted its head and it looked back and it looked at what the lions were doing. It was observing what the lions were doing. And then it laid its head back, and hopefully very soon after that it did die. But that was the state of Christ. That was the Comforter. Or, in medical terms, what people would describe as shock. The zebra was in shock. Now I know shock because I've experienced it myself. I was in a very bad car crash when I was 18 years old, and I experienced a state of shock. Now, whilst what was happening, what was to me most remarkable was that the zebra wasn't struggling. It was not moving, it was not kicking out, and it was not screaming out in pain. It could not feel pain. That is what happens in shock. It's what happened to me. My hand was badly cut in the car crash and it was bleeding, and I saw the blood and I couldn't figure out where it was coming from because I could not feel the cuts. Later on in the afternoon, when that state had worn off, I very much felt it. I was in agony, but at that moment, no, I didn't feel a thing. So, the state of shock medically, they can probably tell you what chemicals go awry in your body, to produce that effect. But what it creates in your spiritual being, in your mind, is you step aside. You become the observer of what is happening. Yeah? And yes, in that state, as I said, you do not feel pain. There is no anxiety. There is no fear. There is no anger. There is no judgment. There's nothing. There is complete stillness. And yes, you are becoming the observer of what is happening around you, which is a state of consciousness, as well as something physical happening in your body, obviously, at the time. Now, so this state does exist, naturally exists in this world. Now, let me just talk about evil about this at this point. Evil means you have a knowledge that you use in the wrong way and you do it consciously. That is evil. There is various degrees of doing things wrong, either for other, because you're pressed into it, or you feel you have no other choice, or simply you don't know what you're doing. You're not aware that you're doing the wrong thing. That is not evil. That is bad and that is doing wrong, but that is not evil. Evil is doing it deliberately. Knowing what you're doing and doing it deliberately. And as I said, using knowledge in the wrong way, knowledge that was given to serve, maybe out of compassion, and I would say it was the zebra, the Christ, it was the compassion in this world that would create this shift. Naturally. So it was created for that purpose. But to use something for a different purpose when it benefits just you or your intention, what it is you want to achieve, that is evil. And then, to my mind, evil cannot exist in any of the other levels of consciousness, the kingdoms of this world. Evil cannot exist in the mineral, in the vegetative, or the lion. The animal. Yeah, the lion. The lion cannot be evil. Because it has no way of being anything than what it is. It lacks the capacity for understanding and self-determination to be evil. All those levels lack those. That's what you need to be evil. So you need to be at least the level of man to have the capacity for evil. Right, because that is what sets us apart from the animal. We can think about things, and we have free will, and we can, absolutely can, become the masters of our own energy body, independent of it being then a reaction to something that's happening. Because that's when this usually happens. Not just shock, but other states of consciousness as well. They happen out of the situation. It's given. The knowledge is given when it is needed. But man can induce these states independent of any situation out of its own free will. Now, I know that this state of shock that the zebra was in can be created by man independently out of their own free will. I've seen it. I've seen stories or pictures documentaries, maybe even, I don't know what I was looking at, but of African, I think it was African tribes, where people can put themselves into that state, into that detached state where they can no longer feel pain. So that knowledge is there, it can be done, and the way I saw it was put to good use. And that is, if somebody was injured, some kind of medical procedure had to be performed, that they could shift their consciousness to the space where they could not feel pain. And then the procedure could be performed, which, if you're in a place that has no doctors, no anesthetic, no big theatres, it's a good use of the knowledge. It serves. I also believe that that was the Christ within Jesus, and that he very much used that knowledge at the crucifixion. Yeah, everybody tells you how much he suffered on the cross. I don't think so. I think it happened for one moment when he cried out, my father, why hast thou deserted me? But he shifted back into the knowledge of the fullness of the reality he was in, and then he could feel the pain. But before that, I don't think he did. He went like a lamb, quietly, like a lamb. I don't think he felt a damn thing. And I think that is what he did the night before he was arrested, in the story where he prayed so hard that blood came to his forehead. He shifted his consciousness into that state. Now, use of the knowledge in the case of Jesus, I would say the use becomes questionable. I think we're already deviating badly from the original purpose. Because, as with the zebra or people that got injured or have something wrong with themselves that need help, when that state is adduced, that is compassion, that is taking away the pain, that is good. But they have not asked to be in that position. Whereas when Jesus said, I'm going to Jerusalem, he was on a suicide mission. He chose to be in that place. He chose his own destruction, first of all. He chose to go on that path to his own destruction knowingly. That's the first thing, it was suicide. And then he used the knowledge so he would not have to suffer the consequences, or he was given the knowledge so he would not have to suffer the consequences of his own actions. And there, to me, the use of that knowledge becomes already questionable. I don't think it was intended so you can do wrong to start with and then get away from the consequences, from feeling the consequences. But that is the Christ, that was the fullness of compassion, that you would not feel it, that you can detach yourself from the situation. Now, what I see happening in this world at the moment is this way being taught as the way to enlightenment. Because if it does not happen naturally, as I said, there has to be knowledge. That is what sets us apart from the animal. We can see these things happening, we can reason about them, and then we can somehow find ways to reproduce the effect. None of the other beings in this world can do that. That's what we can do. And that's how we become masters, occult masters, spiritual masters, masters of our own energies. But as I said, if it's not happening naturally, it has to be taught by somebody who knows. So that is what the occult masters teach the students, in the case of the tribal folks, they will teach it to each other. If that knowledge is in the tribe, they will teach it to each other. But it has to be taught then. And it is being taught at the moment. It has been absolutely being taught. That is what people should do. They should do away with fear. Again, there was a shift in the zebra, because only minutes before that scene, that zebra was running for its life. Yeah? And it was driven by fear, and it was given the energy of fear to try and get away. Again, it was aided in its escape, or its attempt of escape. It didn't make it in the end, but everything was tried so it could. And then that shift happens, that the fear goes away, the energy goes away, and the detachment starts. So we're being taught to do away with fear. Actually, to suppress any movement, any energy that would cause movement, that would us go against what is happening. That is fear, that is anger, that is sadness. All of those things would move us to do something against, or should move us to do something against what is happening. That's what they're there for, to jerk us into action. And at that moment, the zebra was driven on those energies, was actually the adversary to the intention of the lion. Think about that. And what it was doing, it was the adversary to the intention of the lion. And it was that adversarial movement was driven by fear, by the energy of fear. But as I said, we're being taught, do away with fear. Do away with anger, do away with all these emotions that would make you an adversary to what is happening, that would want you to do something about it, to change it, to change the situation. Because you're becoming aware that it is wrong, that something is wrong. So you do away with that, and you're doing away with the adversary. You're overcoming the adversary. And then people are being taught they should try to be still, and they should try to become the observer. So people are being trained, actually they've been shown the way, and people are doing it themselves, believing that that is the way to enlightenment, the state of Christ. And yes, it is the state of Christ that you're going to. And yes, there will be no more fear, and there will be no more anger, and there will be nothing. And there will be no more pain. There won't be. But it is a state where you have given up. That is a near-death state. That where you become the observer, can be the observer, the detached observer of your own destruction. That is the state you're shifting into. And now I'm asking, why would somebody teach that, and why? What should it serve? Because in a way, cause and effect have been absolutely flipped. They're back to front now. In this world, again, the cause is trauma to start with. That is the cause that will cause the effect, the shift. And in this world, yes, that is compassion. That knowledge is being given out of compassion. That is this world showing its compassion. The Christ in this world. But if you teach it in a way that people will do it and they don't fully understand what it is they're doing, only that they're taught they're going into enlightenment and into the state of Christ, so that effect is being produced independent of a trauma situation. out of people's own free will, not knowing what they're doing, but out of their own free will, definitely. They're going there. So there is no trauma situation, but the state is being produced. To what? So that the trauma can happen? Something it's doing away with its adversary. It wants to inflict trauma, it wants to rule over, it wants to subdue, it wants to have dominion. So it is removing the adversary first, so then the trauma can be inflicted, and that is back to front. And then that is not compassion. It is using the same knowledge, and there is evil. Evil is usage of knowledge the wrong way around to the wrong purpose, to benefit yourself. And it's somebody is doing that consciously. Again, there are different levels of bad. There are idiots preaching that, not knowing what they're doing, so that's not evil. Evil would mean you have to be conscious of that, what it is you're doing. That is evil. Now, it says in the Bible, my people will die from lack of knowledge. And again, that is this world speaking. We are the people of this world. We are the children of the living God that is this earth. The living God, the living mother and father. And we're dying from lack of knowledge. Again, you're doing away with the information that is brought to you by your lower nature. You're doing away with information. You're doing away with the knowledge of danger, of injustice, of potential loss, all of those things. And again, a loss in us is the emotion of sadness. We're sad if something is being lost. So it is not the will of this world that something is being lost. It happens because that many levels of consciousness are living together in the same space. And, tribulation will happen because of the mix. But it is not the will of this world that it shall happen. So you're doing away with that knowledge. You're saying you're going the way, and then it's all the way, all the, whatever Jesus did, all the miracles, and those were different states of consciousness, because again, a cause will cause an effect, and that many different things happened there. There must have been a lot of different causes, different states of consciousness that would create different effects. So he had great knowledge of himself and how to do it, in himself. But you're being taught it's the will of God, it's God working through Jesus, it's the Christ within him, and that is just taking one massive whitewash brush over the whole thing. That's all you need to know. It is the will of God. That's all you need to know, that's all you can do. No, that is all the knowledge that you're capable of, which is a lie. And don't look any further than that, because you will go to hell if you do, if you're Christian. Yeah, lack of knowledge. And out of ignorance. And we are being taught to go the way of Christ, not understanding the state, the state of consciousness that will take us to. We are dying from lack of knowledge. We will die in that state when we reach the state of the Christ, the state that the zebra was in. At that point, we will surely die. Because we have detached, we have gone away from the place of action, where we still oppose what is happening, or try to rectify what is happening, to the state where we are only the observers of what is happening. And at that point, we will surely die. There's nothing left to prevent. We are no longer there to prevent it ourselves. And for that to be taught as the way to salvation. In this world, it is compassion, but the way they are using it is not. Evil is the opposite side of good. And the knowledge is kind of in the middle. And it's the way you use the knowledge that goes either to evil or to good. And the way they are using it, the way it's been taught, is evil. The knowledge is in this world. It was never intended to be used in that way. It should have been a response to trauma, not something that would enable trauma to happen because there's no more opposition to it. You will die of lack of knowledge. This people will die from lack of knowledge. And the state of Christ is a state of lack of knowledge. Anyway, here I leave it at that for today. And I'll talk to you again soon. Bye.